A few weeks ago, I got to interview the legendary photographer Mick who was in town for his exhibit, Bowie by Mick at MoPOP. As you're about to see, Mick is an amazing talent, not to mention a super nice guy.
I think the name infiltrated into my psyche. If you wanted a rock and roll photographer, what would you call him? You'd call him Mick Rock.
I'm sorry, it worked out that way. I take no blame for my name.
I love your name.
It was nothing to do with me. I was spawned that way.
That's how it came. That's how it happened.
Well, it was Michael Rock. My mother never called me Mick.
Yeah. Well, it's the perfect name for you.
Wouldn't have worked in an earlier generation. It only worked when, like, the Scruffy Brigade came along and, like, the Yobbos and I fit right in.
How did you meet David Bowie? Was it just in the scene that you...
No, it wasn't quite that. I did seek him out. I had someone to give me a copy of Hunky Dory, a press copy. Played it so many times, I scratched it, and to actually go and buy one after that. So anyway, I sought him out. There wasn't that much money around the music business, certainly not for photographers. But one thing that helped me augment my income would be doing an interview. So we got to know each other in a slightly different way to most photographers, because we would sit and talk about philosophy and our interests because of the interview factor.
What yearish was that, would you say?
Well, it was not yearish, it was very specifically 1972. No, because years can only be years. They can't be yearish. You say, well,
good
yearish could have been 2001 or 1972. With David, it could have been.
What is time, right.
Yes. And so I went to see him. I remember 400 people at the first gig I saw. And that was the first picture I ever took of him, sitting backstage. That would have been early March of 1972. By June, I think, they released Ziggy Stardust. It was March, April, May, only 3 months later. He was getting 1,000 people. When I did that shot, what is known as the guitar fellatio shot. I said that word on a live program here. They had kittens. Oh, fellatio! Oh my God! And I said, well, that's what it's called. I mean, I can't help it.
You're not making up the word. Why do you think people were so enthralled and still are with David Bowie? With David Bowie. Why?
So.
I mean, he's a great artist, obviously.
Incredible artist. But I tell you what's fascinating with him. God bless the Rolling Stones. They go out, fill up stadium, whatever. And but they're basically a sophisticated 60s band. But David was not mired anywhere. He kept moving and changing. And, I mean, look at him, look. It's the same guy, and you can see it's the same guy, but look, all the different, I mean, they're all different.
So many different, yeah.
And the kids like him today. I don't think the kids dislike the Rolling Stones. They're not so interested.
In the same way, right.
No, not the way they are with David. They feel in different guys, it's like an identification, but there was something about him. I mean, why I photographed him so much and why I own all these pictures is because I found him fascinating. Just photographing was.
How much do you think, or do you think your photos helped his career?
Let me put it to you like this. I think I'm glad, and I think everyone's glad that I was around at this key point when no photographers were interested. I mean, it wasn't like I was the Sugar Plum Fairy who threw fairy dust all over him. There was obviously something starting to move.
Right.
And then, of course, Starman was released, and then Ziggy Stardust, which underscored it all. And then everyone became interested. And then Tsukisa in Japan got those great costume pictures, that great black.
Some of your pictures are very iconic. They're really burned into our brains. Many of them.
And not just David Bowie, darling.
No, that's what I mean. Not just David Bowie. I mean, Iggy and Lou and so many others. What do you think you were doing differently, or were you from other photographers of that era?
I don't know. I think my interests were different.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't. I mean, because Lou and Iggy were still subterranean when they showed up, and I did the picture of the three of them.
Yeah.
And David was only just breaking out. I mean, I was drawn to what I was drawn to, and when I took LSD, there was certain personalities that somehow fit in there. Even someone as wild as Iggy, because he was so outside the mother box in the physicality, and you'd see what he would get up to, jumping in the audience. But somehow again, in Lou's case and Iggy's case, on the Transformer, and then the Raw Power pictures, became their image.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
what?
Did you know they were going to hit? Did you think those images were going to hit?
No, I didn't. What did I know?
Yeah, right.
What could I have? What could any of us have really known?
Right. Well, I think the fact that also it seems to me like you were really a part of it. You weren't an observer.
No.
You were a part of it. That's a very different perspective to have.
Yeah, I wasn't owned by any magazines.
Right.
I mean, I was complete, what I call a free radical. And it just was like a monster. Kept rolling, and then commissions started to come, like Queen. You know?
Oh yeah, the Queen. That was a beautiful.
Queen,
that was such a beautiful cover. My God,
an
it's
entirely
amazing.
mine concept, a knockoff from a Marlene Dietrich picture. Freddie, and he's thinking more than about the picture.
Yeah.
I could be Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose the way these people are in person. I mean, I could always separate. I was the image, the aura, the thing.
Right.
Not the reality, but I've got pictures taken of Lou and David, the ones I took, most intimate ones. Chris and Debbie, I've got some cool, more intimate ones. But with David, I always respected him. You see the things I wrote years ago. It's all how I felt about him, even before he got really famous. It's all there. It's on record.
Did you see him near the end of his life?
No, I communicate. You couldn't tell from the emails. Let me, how you doing? He would always say he was doing fine.
Yeah.
Well, we had to communicate because of the book. I think one of the last things was to tell him how well the book had done. It was like the fastest ever selling Taschen book. And he went, wow, that's really nice, Mick, isn't it?
Oh, that's sweet.
I mean,
that's very sweet.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
He was a gentleman and a scholar.
Yeah.
What else do you want to ask me?
I think we're good.
Yeah?
We're totally good.
You're sick of me already.
I love you.
No, she's sick of me.
Can I get a picture? Can I get a selfie with you? Ready? And here we go.